Welcome to the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. And now a word from our sponsors. The Wolf is here. The Lone Wolf Beard Company is Colorado's premium beard company, offering 100% all-natural products to bearded beasts of all different shapes and sizes. Pick up your original scented product now and stand out from the pack. Because hey, let's be honest, you weren't meant to be in a pack, and you were brought in this world to stand out and leave a mark. So unleash the wolf within, howl at the moon, and conquer your goals. Leave a mark, be a wolf, and seize the day. That's the Lone Wolf Beard Company, Colorado's premium beard company, offering 100% all natural products. All right, everybody, welcome to the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. I'm joined here right now with a very special guest, the well-traveled veteran, Mr. Brian Grinnell. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Just got out of practice, so I'm feeling, nice and loose.
That's good. That's good. So you've got a big fight coming up in a couple of weeks. That's on the 25th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, 25th in Shawnee, Oklahoma, at Fire Lake Arena.
Okay, very nice. So is there a spot where people can go to pick up tickets to follow you? Anything along those lines?
You can go to ticketstub.com. Use promo code Grinnell when you're checking out. Tickets should be selling pretty quick. I know there's a lot of local talent on the card, and I know that quite a few of them are selling a lot of tickets locally.
Well, that's definitely a good thing for you guys' side. Always nice to have a packed house to be fighting in front of.
It's always fun. It's always fun to fight in Shawnee. Most of my family's from Shawnee, so I got a lot coming to the fight. Should be fun. Should be a little barn burner.
That's good. That's definitely good on that side of things to have that support there. So, Brian, for yourself personally, where can people search it? Where can people follow you online?
You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at bgrinnell88. That's pretty much it. I'm not really a big video poster or blogger or anything like that. I spend most of my time in the gym, so it's kind of hard to keep my social media platform all that up to date.
Understandable. You're taking care of business.
Yeah. I'm a gym addict, is what it is. I'll call it as I see it, but
Hey, that's not a bad thing, especially when you're out. When your living is based off of what you do physically. It's not a bad thing to have a love for the grind.
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
So, in terms of team, what about team? Where can people search for anything with your team, with your camp, anything like that?
Well, my team is Conquer BJJ. We're out here in Ada, Oklahoma. We've got a lot of talented fighters. We've got a lot of jiu-jitsu athletes. We've got a huge jiu-jitsu team. You can follow them at Conquer BJJ on Instagram. And our head coach is former Ultimate Fighter veteran Cortez Coleman. He's a great leader. He's very motivational. He's very positive attitude on the team. It's very different for me because I've spent a lot of my career alone, coaching myself, training myself, going to gym hopping pretty much, but never really having a team. But my training's really changed here in the last 6 months or so since joining with Conquer, Cortez, and all them.
Shout out to Crazy Cowboy Cortez Coleman. That's the man right there.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Always nice to shoot back messages back and forth with Cortez. We were actually talking about. I was talking with him about boxing and about how he's ready for Worlds this next week last night. So shout out to Cortez and everybody else from Conquer that's going out to Worlds this next week too, out in Vegas. So good luck to you all.
Got a huge competition team coming up. We're sending 4 of them out there. It should be interesting. I expect them to come home with some medals. I would want to be out there myself, because cage fighting's fun, but jiu-jitsu is my love, and they're going to Vegas, so I can't. I'm super jealous, so I'm probably going to take a little bit of that out on Tegan. So there may be a tiny bit of bad blood. Like I said, there was no bad blood. Maybe there's a tiny bit of bad blood because I don't get to go to Vegas, okay? And that's Tegan's fault, and I'm going to take it out on him. So
Yeah, so for everybody out there listening, Brian is going to be fighting another Oklahoma guy named Tegan Dooley out there from Oklahoma City, which I had the opportunity of meeting him out there also in Thackerville at the WinStar World Casino. Shout out to Daniel Scary Carey when I saw him tear up the Bellator cage a couple weeks ago. So definitely looking forward to seeing how that one shakes up there for you. I also want to throw a shout out to another one of your teammates to KV, to Chris Vereen. So Chris is a very good dude. He's we've had some good conversations and shared some thoughts back and forth. So shout out to you, KV.
Yep, one of my top training partners. Daniel's another one of my top training partners. They're great guys. KV's just he's got so much talent, and I look forward to seeing where he goes in the sport, honestly. And Daniel is a workhorse. He's one of the biggest, hardest workers I know, and he's always put in time and effort. And I mean, we've got some really talented team. I've got some really talented teammates, and I'm just really honored to be a part of everybody. And it really is helping my game overall.
Oh, I could only imagine. It seems like you guys also have out there at Conquer a very tight-knit, family bond almost.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like just from the posts, following you guys online and all that you guys are, even outside of training time, you're hanging out together for barbecues or, doing fireworks on the holidays and those sorts of things. So I'm sure that definitely has to help, your development all across the board.
It really does. It helps having a support system, it's a very interesting sport, especially to be associated with, because it's not very mainstream, and even outside of the gym, even your real family could look at it and see and kind of, act like you're a little strange for doing the things that you love to do. And with the team and the gym, we all feel like we belong. Nobody really we all like to dress up in pajamas and choke each other. It's not a normal hobby,
right? But exactly.
We feel we actually have a group that we feel conformity with, and we all feel very comfortable, and it's very soul satisfying to have a group like that all supports each other in their dreams.
That's awesome. That's the best thing that I feel like someone could come away from a team and from a solid camp in that respect, being able to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian, you yourself, you're pretty well traveled as far as some of the different promotions that you fought for. You've been from everything from King of the Cage to XFN to Shamrock fights to Bellator. Talk to us a little bit about your experiences, across the board with your different promotions and travels.
Man, that is one thing that I am truly grateful for when it comes to mixed martial arts, because when I started this weird journey, I was 17, starting to fight amateur, in Tennessee when it was illegal. So to go from fighting in empty pavilions and illegal fights there to, like you said, being able to travel nationally. I went to Arizona. I got to climb mountains. It's been a real interesting ride, and it was never anything I honestly truly intended to happen, so that makes it more fun, I guess, because I started doing all this because I like to lift weights. Like I said, I'm a gym junkie, and I just didn't want to be that buff guy that didn't, that all he did was lift weights. I just wanted something to, okay, I'm going to go, because I wrestled in high school, but I wanted something else competitive to do. And so I started taking Muay Thai and Sambo, and it kind of just evolved into what it is now. And here we are. Like you said, I've traveled a lot of places, and I've been to a lot of places, and I don't know, I'm just truly blessed, I guess is the best way to put it.
That's definitely good on that side of things. So you mentioned, getting into Sambo and all that. It's not really one that a lot of people talk about getting in, especially stateside, or getting in and involved with that way. So that's really cool. You're actually the first person that I've talked to who's mentioned that discipline specifically that they've, pursued or gotten involved with.
Well, back in the day, we'll say 2007. Okay, I joined a gym called Nemesis Muay Thai, and they had a jiu-jitsu program, but I was a wrestler, so I just stuck to no-gi. So I stayed away from the gi. Well, the guy that was teaching the no-gi classes at the time was a Sambo practitioner. And he would preach the power of leg locks. And back in 2006, that was like speaking heresy. Like if you spoke to him, yeah, they'd drag burn him at the stake. And now seeing what it's turned around in full circle, everybody's throwing leg locks out, and it's the new big thing and everything. But my coach back then was practicing some of the same leg locks that you see now. And so it was really interesting that because I did, like, we practiced Sambo, we practiced in the gi tops and the shorts and the shoes, and we practiced leg locks and neck cranks, and no other gyms would do those things. And now I find myself in my leg lock is a little bit farther ahead of people in my belt ranking, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And I find myself with very strong leg game because of that. Like, I love leg locks. Like, it makes my heart happy when somebody tries to attack my feet, because that means I can attack their feet first.
Yeah, definitely.
I truly, Sambo is one of the true martial arts that I respect the most out of all of the mixed martial art genres you hear of. Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing, all that stuff. Sambo is probably the scariest, because if you get a true Sambo practitioner, that's a bad son of a bitch. Period. You can get a softer Muay Thai coach, a softer jiu-jitsu fighter, all that kind of stuff. But you get a Sambo black belt, and that guy is probably did 10 years in prison somewhere and doesn't want to talk about it. He's just probably a scary, scary person. They're just tougher. Look at Khabib. Okay, Khabib is a perfect example. He's just tough as nails, just grind you out. Whatever you give him, he's going to wrench on it, he's going to crank on it, he's just going to continue to beat you. It's just a hard knock sport, and it's hard to beat.
Mm-hmm. I always think of Fedor, too.
Yes, exactly. Or that guy that Vagov, the guy that I fought at World Series. That's a good one.
And then, too, if there's somebody who's versed in Sambo, you might be flying through the air. That's a strong motherfucker picking you up.
Well, and you never know where the attack is going to come from when it comes to Sambo fighting. Sambo fighting is very attack oriented, but it's very fluid. My cousin Cody Lyles fought a Sambo practitioner out at Fire Lake Grand back in I want to say 2012, and Cody took him down and was beating on him from side control, and all he did was just step his leg over to go to mount and gave too much room for the hip, and that dude tore his knee apart with a heel hook. And it was just that fast. It was so quick, it was so methodical, and he just gave his leg away for just a split second, and now the fight's over.
Yep.
And they snap on those things, and they'll take them off.
And, with you having so many years of submission grappling experience, have you ever endured a serious injury along those lines?
No. Every time I've ever hurt myself, it was completely you would never think it would happen like that. I tore the meniscus in one of my knees, and I did that just warming up. I was bouncing around. I did a lunge forward, and when I did the lunge backwards, it just locked up, lit on fire, and I couldn't bend it. So I went and ended up having to have surgery. Yeah, I've never really been hurt grappling. All of the experience lets me know when to tap. I know when to tap.
Yeah. Makes total sense, but sometimes you fall into something kind of awkwardly, or you get someone who kind of takes a hard crank or something. Sometimes it happens. I just figured it would be worth asking the question.
No. I mean, I've been very lucky, knock on whatever I can knock on, to not be injured mainly in training. Anytime I've ever been injured, it's always something dumb like that.
So you mentioned being on the jiu-jitsu side, going mostly no-gi when you first got into it. Do you like going in the gi now more, or what's your kind of thought on that?
I would say I'm probably a 90% gi grappler. Like, I I think it makes my overall grappling game better, my control game better. Positioning is always tighter. Uh, I do no-gi predominantly when I'm getting ready for fights, and that's about it. But I prefer, honestly, to grapple in the gi, except it limits my leg lock game, which is very irritating. I don't know. I have my issues with both sides of it at this point.
Makes sense, especially as much as you do it from both ends of it. So with your career and in competition, have you stayed mostly at the same weight class? Have you kind of bounced back and forth? What have you done on that?
I wrestled in high school at 171, and since then I've either fought at 185 or 170, like pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, makes sense there, staying within that same general window. Do you wish that there would be maybe like an intermediate class in there? And there's a lot of people that are talking about the push of having an every 10 type of weight class scenario. What's your thoughts there?
Well, when it comes to the weight classes, I would prefer a 165 because like when I do weigh in for 170, I usually make about 166. And I've like when I would fight at 185, I would be the way smaller 185er.
Mm-hmm.
And when I fight at 170, I'm still not really big. Like I'm not a very big guy. I'm only 5'9". Like I'm just a little on the thicker side, but like I would prefer like 165. I think would be a dynamite weight class, and I think that 175 would be too. I think that if you split those two weight classes up, you would see a lot better performance out of the same people that you see in the 170 weight class. Just predominantly because the weight cuts are either not enough or too much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, because you have big, giant dudes like Darren Till out there who, Till is a very, very big man trying to make that 170 cut. If there's a 75, he probably makes that without having to, damn near be on the brink of death while, going through those last couple of days of the cut. So I definitely would say that you would see a lot more of a benefit on the fighter side on that. That's definitely for sure.
And especially with what they've got going on now with the they're talking about doing the hydration testing for fighters and everything like that. I think it only makes sense to add the weight classes because if you're only going to allow a 10-pound weight gain with water after weigh-ins, which is what they're talking about, or what is it? It's 10%. 10%.
10% the next day. Yeah.
I mean, that's still not quite a bit. I mean, I know some of the smaller weight classes, the littler guys, they put on 20, 30 pounds overnight, The bigger end, you usually don't get as much of a gain as you think they do. Like the bigger guys usually only gain about 10 or so. But the littler guys swell up. So
yeah, it was kind of interesting. They released the numbers from the last UFC from the TJ Cody one of that next day weight, and it was kind of interesting to see that nobody was under the 10% mark. Pretty much everybody was over 10, and some guys upwards of 20 plus. So that's pretty crazy to think of in that respect. I think states like California are pretty progressive about what they're trying to do with that, with implementing the hydration point testing, with doing that next day, the 10%. It's really and truly, ONE FC is the one who they're trying to I feel like really trying to mimic.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your thought there? Because are you familiar with what ONE FC has done with weight cuts or weight classes, all of that?
No, what are they doing?
So basically what they did, and this is taking it from Ben Askren's description of what went on with it, but what Ben Askren said was everybody bumped up a weight class. They don't do weight cuts anymore really there. You fight more so at your true weight. and you have to be they monitor you within within a certain way. The way that they regulate it, they have a track of where when you first start to where when you're competing, and you can't lose more than a certain amount, and you have to stay above a certain hydration threshold. Is the way that I understand it. So basically, if you were with him being the 170 champ, he then became the 185 champ as soon as they implemented these measures. So pretty much everybody just bumped up a class.
Interesting.
Yeah, so kind of an interesting way, but they say that they feel like it's helped on the fighter safety side.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like it's still such an evolution of the sport. I mean, if you're looking at it on the commercial scale, if you're just talking UFC being in the limelight, it's only 25 years. That that was back when it was no holds barred. Open weight classes, all of that. So I feel like half the time the governing bodies for the sport are still trying to learn on the fly just as fast as almost everybody consuming the sport.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. I mean, I had the chance to, because I retired after my World Series of Fighting fight for a while because I didn't have a team, I didn't have a camp, and I didn't even have the heart to get back into the cage. But I got the chance to work for the Chickasaw Gaming Commission, and it's like you said, they are constantly trying to revamp the rules, trying to update things, trying to make it safer and better for the fighters. And it's a constant, like, they're always doing these conventions where they're redoing the rules and they're going over classes and doing judging classes and all kinds of stuff. So it's a constant, like, thing where they're constantly trying to figure out what MMA should be, because it still is in this, like, up in the air, not sure what the rules should be, what strikes to use, what's legal, what's not legal. I mean, heck, we just recently figured out what the uniform should be, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, well, and then with that too, when you have differences in rules and regulations from state to state as well, when it's not something that's completely standard across the board, I feel like that just adds to the amount of variables in the equation that these commissions are trying to figure out.
Yeah, 100%.
Because what was it was. I can't remember which card it was. It was a recent one, but it was a difference of rule. It might have been the one that was down in Texas. It was a fight night a few weeks back, but I can't remember what the rule was. It might have been in the Poirier Alvarez fight that there was something that they were talking about with the difference of like the knee to a grounded opponent situation. I can't remember the exact example.
Was it the elbow? Was it the 12-6 elbow?
The 12-6.
There was a 12-6
that got called, but I don't know if they were just I can't remember if they were just referencing it from the last fight when they from the first time when there was the controversy. But just an example of where in one state something was legal, like a 3 points being considered a grounded opponent versus just being 2, with a hand down versus a hand up type of situation. I can't remember the exact example, so you have to excuse me on that one. But, it is something that you have to know.
Now it has to be a 4 point. Like, 4 point is down, 3 point is not.
And I believe that there's 2 states from what they were talking about with that rule. I think Texas and somewhere else. Texas and New Jersey, I think, are different.
Well, we still use Oklahoma still uses the 3 points.
Is a 3? Okay. I couldn't remember. Yeah. I know that they were talking about there's only a few states in the entire nation where it's a little bit different with that rule specifically. I just couldn't remember the specifics off the top of my head. I mean, watch so much of it, I can't remember all the exact specifics that way. With all the big moves business-wise, with because you fought for World Series of Fighting, now it seems like with that being PFL, that's taken off pretty well. What do you think of that promotion?
I mean, the Professional Fight League is definitely, they're doing some different stuff, and it's very interesting to watch. They've got a lot of good talent over there, but yeah, it should be. I mean, one of our teammates, Brian Foster, was supposed to fight for them not long ago, and I think he got injured. And But other than that, I haven't really kept up with a whole lot from them. Like, man, it's so hard for me to catch MMA nowadays. It's so hard.
Oh, I'm sure. Especially with your training schedule, being in the gym all the time, it's tough to keep up with all the moving parts out there. Especially with as much as it's grown. There's so many different promotions out there, between PFL to LFA to the Bellators to King of the Cage, still in the mix with some of those things. There's a lot that's out there to pay attention to. I do really like the way that PFL is doing that point system. I think that's kind of a cool concept, kind of the tournament style format that way. I think it makes it a little bit, especially from my end of it as a fan, just kind of consuming it to see, all right, well, this guy won in this round with a finish, so that's going to give him, first round finish, 6 points. So then he's going on and he's going to get the higher seed. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool that way, and that they're pretty good with their with their posts online of showing where each guy is at as far as their point accumulation and all of that. So it makes it interesting to see where the bracket is kind of stacking up for. I think it's like a $50,000 prize or something like that if you win the bracket or something like that. So I think it's kind of cool. With with jiu-jitsu, do you do a lot of jiu-jitsu comps too as well?
Yeah, I try to compete probably 4 times a year, just to have something to do. Like, jiu-jitsu is just one of those things. It's like my hobby. Like, I go do it just to do it, just to make myself stay every day, I guess.
Okay.
I go to the competitions just, I guess, to see how much better I am at it than I was the last time before.
Just kind of give yourself
that doesn't always work out, though. Yeah.
Got to see where you're at, though, right? Got to test the waters.
Exactly.
So, one question that I always like to ask all the fighters that I have on is the ever important weight cut question. Have you ever had a difficult weight cut or a complication with a weight cut?
A complication? No. I have always made weight. Always. Now, that has sucked a few times. There's been more than one time that I've had to pull at least like 15 pounds in 24 hours. That's usually the worst. But, I mean, I stay lean. I predominantly don't eat a bunch of crap food. I don't drink soda pop, like even on the off seasons. So weight has never really been a serious issue. Like when I go to 185, that's not that. I walk around at 185.
Right. So it'd be more so the 70 bouts.
Yeah, and that's usually when I get a phone call like, "Hey, you're fighting in 3 days."
Yeah, short notice ones. That's always the worst, right?
Yep.
So, when you have to cut that much, 15 to 20 within, I'm familiar with the process just from, being a big fan of the sport, but I know a lot of people aren't exactly familiar with exactly what that looks like on the actual cut side, especially within that small window. For you specifically, is that, are you sauna and tubbing? Are you going blanket laying? What are you doing when you do your cut for that significant amount of weight during that short time window?
It's situational. Usually, you have to make do with what you're given. Like, you know what I mean? Some towns just don't have a sauna. Some days it's 30 degrees outside. Like, I've wrapped myself in blankets and rolled myself up in the wrestling mats and just laid there. I drove to St. Louis with like a hoodie and a sweater and a sauna suit, blasting the heater the whole way to make weight. I don't know. You just do what you got to do. Like, I just have always just done what is necessary to make weight. So whatever I've had to get through to do that, I've done it. And so every time I've had an opponent that doesn't make weight, it really, really, really irritates me. It irritates me to my, like, in the soul.
Does it make it that much more personal?
Yeah, I take that personally, like 100%. Like, not making weight is the most unprofessional, spit in the face to your opponent that you can have, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if you sit there and talk all the smack in the world, call my mom whatever you want to, like, talk about my dogs and my girlfriend. I don't care, but just make weight. Okay, that's all I'm asking. That's all the contract asks. Okay, like the professional contract says, you're going to show up at this weight and you're going to fight me. Other than that, I don't really give two craps what you do. Like, just show up on weight.
Oh, I completely agree with you there. That's just disrespectful to the sport too, as well, in that respect. Or not in that respect, but on that side of things, you're agreeing for something.
The classic. Well, I don't know what happened. I was like, you've weighed 10 times today. You know damn good and well what happened.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's cheating. To me, it's cheating. Because if you had to go through the grind to push yourself through those last couple of pounds, and he didn't have to go through those last couple of pounds to get there, that's cheating. And I think that the record, and I don't know what to say it is on some of the regional promotions or on anything outside, just because the infographics are typically always there for the UFC being as big of an entity as it is. But the numbers haven't lied this year at all. People that have made weight have won almost that have missed weight have won almost every single fight this year so far during 2018.
I believe that.
So, like I say, it really is cheating. It's a quantifiable difference on paper, the advantage that you're getting.
I know, and then they try to give you 20% of the purse, and I'm like, well, I'm going to lose half of my winnings if you win, so that doesn't exactly even out, does it?
Right. Well, and that begs the question, if you're only going to, and with that, especially depending on what kind of show money that you're getting, if you're only having to sacrifice that 20% of your show money, why not just take that? Just consider that you're not even getting that 20%. You're going to get your win bonus because you're coming in over. You're taking the advantage. Do you think that they should increase the penalty?
Yeah, 100%.
What would you like to see it? Or what in your
I would like
best,
to see I would like to see suspensions, because frankly, it's disrespectful, it's unprofessional, and it's illegal according to the contract. And I'm not going to bust out a lawyer and sue whoever it is over some legality of some dude not making weight by 5 pounds. But at the same time, it's unfair to the fighters that expect to be protected by these legal documents that we sign to these big promotions or to the regional promotions, and then they turn around and then they don't follow through with their own contracts. It's very unprofessional on all fronts, you know what I mean? And then they try to pay you off to make it okay, which is unacceptable also, because it's just trying to buy me off for, you dicking me over in the first place.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad to know that you have a pretty strong stance on that. Definitely good to see support from that, and hopefully they make some changes out there, because I just feel like it makes stuff get watered down. If you have too many, if you have like Mackenzie Dern coming out there for a 115 fight, weighing in at 122 or something, whatever it was that she weighed in for her last fight, like you didn't even fucking try. You did not even try if you're coming in that heavy. Plain and simple.
Smiling, scales, like no.
Yeah, no, exactly. What's the hardest food for you to give up while you're cutting? Donuts? You have a big sweet tooth?
Yeah, not a huge one, but just occasionally I like to go on a late night donut binge. Like right when the donut shop opens at 10 when they're still hot.
Nice.
Donuts.
Very nice. I got to ask you, because when I was kind of taking my road trip tour, going out there to watch Daniel fight a couple of months ago, with it being, or last month I should say, with you guys being kind of in a smaller rural type area for the most part, how do you find it, as far as ease of access for, you mentioned eating healthy and staying pretty up on the the health and wellness end. do you find it a little bit harder for access for, good quality nutrition and things along those lines versus, maybe if you're in a bigger area?
I cook, so not really. No, I mean, there's a few restaurants in town like that have healthy options, pretty much because Ada's, it's a rural town, but there's a very big fitness movement in town, and so there's healthy options at a lot of the local restaurants. Like the local barbecue shop has a smoked fish and veggie plate with rice, and there's a local coffee shop. You can go get like egg whites for breakfast and grapefruit and stuff, and so it's not really like Ada's kind of conformed to the health movement that you see nowadays. So it's not as difficult to find food as it used to be.
That's understandable. And yeah, when I was going through some of those, through some of the small towns, having to stop for gas or, bathroom breaks, whatever, I'm like, man, I don't know how the people in these towns do it this way. Yeah, no, especially the ones in Texas, it was bad.
They eat Sonic for 3 meals a day. That's how they do that.
Yep. Well, you could definitely tell by some of the people that I ran into too, as well. There's some great people down there, but there's also some where I was like, man, your blood type is probably one step off, or you're one step off of being a straight up flag for diabetes right there if you don't already have it.
Yeah.
Except everything was filled with sugar and butter.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. Homemade. They call that homemade.
Well, it definitely had that homemade taste to it, that's for sure. But
yeah, exactly right. That's love, is what that is.
It is.
That's not a heart palpitation. That's love.
So, Brian, I just want to ask you a couple of, kind of rapid fire questions in relation, to the game and all that. You've kind of answered a couple of them already just through the midst of our conversation. But, that being said, first off, who is the ideal matchup for you at any weight class?
Ideal matchup, who's my dream fight?
Yeah, who's your dream fight?
I mean, I would love to fight Rory McDonald personally, but like a grappling super fight, I would love to roll with Jake Shields. That would be fun. I know he doesn't fight MMA anymore, but I'd like to maybe hit a fight to win. Maybe if he's out there and he happens to see this.
That'd be awesome. I love Jake Shields way back when. I'm a huge Scrap Pack fan.
Oh yeah, he was my idol growing up. Loved watching him. Like
he fought an MMA fight, I think, for PFL about a month and a half ago.
Did he really? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
he lost, unfortunately, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I do remember him being, there being a big deal about, the return of Jake Shields to the cage. I'm pretty sure it was PFL that it was for, though.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, like I say, interesting that you mentioned that. Nobody really mentions him a whole lot in these discussions. So cool memories right there with the Scrap Pack. At any weight class.
Yeah, I'm older. Like I've been watching MMA since like UFC 1. Like I prefer the older greats. Like I don't necessarily watch much of the newer UFC stuff. Like I'm too busy in the gym.
That's totally understandable, man. So, we mentioned at any weight class. What about at your class specifically? What, would you call it for 170? Obviously, that would be Rory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Rory, definitely Rory.
You'd call Rory, any weight class, all across the board. That's your guy. What about, what about if we're talking, stand up or ground?
Like if I got to box it out with somebody?
Yeah. What's your choice? Would you rather keep it up or take it to the ground?
I'm a ground fighter 100%, but I mean, I can fight anyway. I don't care. Like, we can fight. Let's do it.
Punches or kicks?
Kicks. I have little T-Rex arms, so.
Jiu-jitsu or wrestling?
What's my end goal? Like, do I want to just go home quick, or do I want to make him not have a good night? Honestly, wrestling, probably wrestling. I love jiu-jitsu, but wrestling.
What do you feel like is the superior art of all arts?
The one that works.
One that works. Good answer. Some people just, very, very much so have, like, hey, I think wrestling is, is the dominant, or, BJJ is, is the ultimate neutralizer, or, then sometimes I've talked to a couple of strikers where like, hey, I don't give a shit if you're the best grappler in the world. You still have to start off standing, and if I tag you before you get a hold of me, then that's game over. So
I just like to win fights, and it usually requires a combination of everything. So I don't and even then it's hard to break down on which one, because wrestling footwork is the same footwork as boxing. I mean, Muay Thai, it's all the damn same as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I get it. I get what you understand. I get what you're saying.
Thai style or Dutch style kickboxing?
Ooh, that's tough. Probably Dutch. Dutch.
And why?
I like heavy kicks. Thai is a little bit more. I like Thai knees and elbows, but I just like to kick the shit out of people, just to kick them really hard.
That's understandable. Can't really argue with that answer there. Brian, is there anything that we haven't maybe covered that you really want to make sure that the people out there know or hear from you at all?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything, bro.
Yeah, I do want to say thank you very much for for taking the time to come on the show and giving me the time of day for the podcast. So I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Especially anybody who Cortez speaks for, you definitely are certified on that side of things, because that's the one thing that I love about the fight game is for lack of a better term, fake shit snuffs itself out.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
what I like about it.
If there's fluff and BS, it's not going to last for long. So I really do respect that about the sport and about the game on that side of things. So, like I say, man, I really do want to thank you on that. Just a quick note on my side of things, or from the Peanut Gallery side, this is Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Make sure that you go to www.cftpg.com to pick up all of your official Comments from the Peanut Gallery merchandise. I also want to throw a quick couple of shout-outs to my partners over at the Lone Wolf Beard Company, Colorado's premium all-natural beard product provider. I also want to throw a shout-out to Lion League Music for some of the best in the up-and-coming talent across the mountain region. And I also want to throw a shout-out to the Terphouse for being one of the best in the industry leaders in the CBD industry. Incredible for the recovery. Definitely keeps you on point as far as how your body feels. And I also want to shout out to my boy Austin Jones from Factory X, who is just booked for a fight on the LFA card in September, as well as Selena Rowland, who will be fighting for the Nemesis Fight Promotions down at Jackson's MMA in Colorado in October. So shout out to all of you guys out there. Just to wrap things up right here one last time for you, Brian, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram at bgrinnell88. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just one last time for the people out there, where can they search tickets for you?
Tickets for me are on ticketstub.com. Search Firelink Arena. They're under HD MMA. We're fighting on the 25th next weekend in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
So there you have it right there, folks. Make sure that you cue in that promo code when you're picking up tickets. It's going to go directly toward his allocation, and that is as far as that code goes. You'll see it coming across the bottom of your screen right here once it's coming along, but make sure that is GRINNELL. So you guys type that in. That's going to make sure that my boy right here gets credit as far as those ticket sales, and we'll be all set up and running. Brian, like I say, man, thank you very much for coming on and taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. So on the outro right here, we're going to hit you guys off with a little bit of music from Lion League. So make sure that you guys follow them online too as well and show them some love. Thank you very much. Have a great night, folks.
Dinner place for Judas, niggas claiming family, I no sacrifice. Grip a 40, sip a 40 for them gutter pains. Keep a release on the mobile for them show me nice. I ain't living right, long live the game. Maximize capital, finite physical. Fuck metaphorical, my whole life digital. Dash for that play, I'm playing, I never play though. And chords get stringy when you tired lining queso. Dímelo mijo, that's what they say when I free flow. Might wet that sweet spot, that's less love me flowing. From no M state, still screaming BMO. My time is my time, homie, I speed slow. No eyes, strong ties, fuck a Rico. Give thanks, drive slow and stack peso. Kiss your minds, a tu madre da beso, yeah. Lay low and stay cool, the shit stressful, boy.
That's why I stay high. Look, there they go, macadamian, don't know a brainy in a match of cranium, so we roll up on you like Damien in that Mercedes Benz. Got weed and drink with some lady friends who got the latest shit, but they fans and shit, so I ain't hit. Damn, here go the bass again, renovate your place again. We on the Vegas strip, rockin' straight out that bodega shit. You know we so legit, with no limit like I'm Soldier Slim, but I'm more like PMC. Pinkies up, feel me? Got my soldiers with me and my youngins down the ride. Got some bread up in the hills, got some sauce up on the side. Got Tino in here working like a nigga working nights. Said your girl just ain't his type, she just tryna catch a ride and she with it, and she so committed. Damn, your boy is fresh to death and you ain't even seen it. We cut from a different cloth and you can check my linens, cause I was tryna stand out when you was tryna fit in. Adios.